Welcome to Classic and Retro, and welcome back to the Volvo 850 T-5R. Now if you're not already, click that subscribe button and check out some of the previous videos. Catch you up with this one and a few other projects we've got going on. In this video we're going to tackle the damaged parts of the front inner wing. We're going to get those removed and we're going to get the other side stripped down so we can take some measurements off it. We've got everything we need to do that, so let's just crack on. So today we're going to be starting to remove the damaged panels. Now to do this, it does mean first off this bonnet hinge will have to come off. Just 3 bolts, 2 there and 1 hiding behind there. The spring's got to come off, and then obviously we'll take the bonnet off. We might even get onto the front wing, but the aim of today is to get this panel off and potentially some of this panel, which is the most damaged part on the car. So as you can see, there's a row of spot welds and the same underneath. We'll get all those drilled out. Now back here we've got to get rid of some seam sealer. Up here there's a little bit of seam sealer. You can see where there's some spot welds. It's also double skinned just there. There's reinforcers behind there, so we need to be careful. And then obviously it looks to me like it's obviously seam welded down there. What we'll probably end up doing today is bringing it down and cutting it down there, leaving this until we've got the new panel. But we'll get this off, see what's behind it, and then we'll also work on getting the ECUs out of the way, the expansion tank out of the way, and getting this damaged panel off as well. That way when the new panels arrive, it can either go for jigging or we can crack on and fit them ourselves. As you can see, to get to this last bolt hiding in there, we're going to have to get this spring off. This should be fun. So that's the bonnet hinge off, and the spring, not easy, especially when the bonnet hinge is bent. We're now going to use this finger sander and cutting disc on the grinder, and we're just going to gradually sand away at the spot welds until they release. Here's a few I've already done. You basically just sand away at the top surface until you've worked your way through the outer panel, and you're good. Takes a little while. We'll speed this up and I'll come back to you when it's done. So new plan, what I'm going to do is chop the worst of this panel off with the grinder and then go around and do all the edges afterwards. Be a lot quicker to get the bulk of the panels off and a lot easier I think to get the chisel behind the panels to get to the spot welds. So let's do that. So this is taking quite a lot longer than I'd like. Obviously going over each spot weld there's a lot of like reinforcing panels behind it, and I don't want to hit any of those. Also I'm not getting all the footage I'd like because it's very windy, and no matter what I do with the tripod the camera keeps falling over, so I've probably got about 15 minutes of that, which you don't really want to see. So I'm going to have to do it in a slightly different format where I do a bit then show you a bit. Well, that's okay. So what I've done is I've gone around all the way underneath the cutting disc, leaving the majority of it on as I said before, and then I'm working my way around all the spot welds. There's one there, one there, one there, one there. I believe that's one. There should be one there, I would have thought. One there, one there, one there, one there. So get all them off and this whole plate should come off. I can then see what kind of reinforcing structures behind there. I can start working on the lips. Now I'm going to leave that lip on because this panel's coming off, so there's no point doing all that. I can just cut it there and not worry about having to take any of that lip off. Obviously the lips. So that's the outer skin off. You can see everywhere it was spot weld on. It's a reinforcer for the bonnet hinge. I've just got rid of the seam sealer underneath. There's a spot weld hiding under there. I've ground a little bit of the seam weld off there, which has exposed the back of that. So now it's a case of taking all these off, all the way down to the front. This whole lower piece should come off. There is some that go up onto there as well, so they'll need to come off. This will take all the lower piece off, and then it's the same theory across the top. There's a couple going down that way, most of them go that way, and we've got to figure out what's going on under there, get some of the seam sealer off, find out where that joins, grind that weld off, and that'll be all that off. That'll be all this outer piece off. We can then start looking at that. Okay, so that's all that panel off. Now, I don't know if the new panel comes with this. This is just a stiffener, and it was spot welded to it. So now this is only spot welded across this top edge here. So it's only held on by this top bit. I don't know if the new panel comes with it, so I've saved it. I could have obviously got this panel off a lot quicker if I'd have just gone straight through all of these, but then I wouldn't have been able to save this, and that wouldn't have been good. So that's took probably, I don't know, an hour and a half, something like that, to get all that done. Made a bit of a mess there, but we can tidy it out. This is where the check strap for the bonnet hinge went. So got a little bit of tidying up to do under there. Got to get that last little bit off. Got to get that little bit off, last little bit off there. Then probably not today, probably tomorrow is onto this panel, which I'll have to do a lot more cleaning up and figuring out for that one. Get the wheel off definitely, and then hopefully, oh, we're going to take the bonnet off completely, other side wing, other side arch liner, and so on. So probably do that in the next video, or well, later on in this video, tomorrow for me. And yeah, once it's at that point, we can start thinking about getting some panels and start having a look at how things line up. I've still undecided whether I'm going to start having a look at lining things up myself or sending it away. Just for the laugh, I might have a look at it myself. So we'll drill the last two of them out, and then we'll get onto this bit. So I think we'll call it a day just there. As you can see, that's all off and all cleaned up. I got a little carried away, and I took the front off. So the inner structure, which as you remember from the last video was really kinked in and done, I've taken it off. Now I've checked that I can buy this panel. So I've drilled all the spot welds out across there. I've then drilled all the spot welds out across the top, and then drilled all the spot welds out around here. And this panel that I'm replacing lips underneath there, so it spot welds on from this side, then goes under that, and spot welds on up the inside of the strut tower and across the top, and then over there. Now that still needs a little cleaning up. That's just a bit of surface rust, and there is still a little bit to get out there, but that is all the damaged parts off the car. Now I've taken everything off at the original seams. Everything's been taken off. It just wants a good clean up. This is a bit of surface rust. I've gone over it with the finger sander and it's nothing other than surface rust. This is all seam sealer, although it looks a dodgy colour. That's all seam sealer. So I'll clean all that up. I'm going to get a bit of etch primer, a bit of cure rust on it all tomorrow, get all that done, and then get the panels ordered, and we can start to at least put them in place and see how bad things are, see what we're up against. Now the chassis leg all looks absolutely spot on. This curling up like that, as far as I can tell, is absolutely normal. Does it on the other side, so I think that's all good. Tomorrow I'm going to take the bonnet off. I've only taken it off from one side. Keeps falling on me, as you probably saw earlier on in the video. It fell over, and yeah, not good. So I'll take the bonnet off, get the other hinge off because the other hinge is definitely bent, get the other front wing off, and then I'll start taking comparisons and measurements and everything I need to see how far out it is, if it's out at all. Possibly have to replace the other wing, not 100% sure yet, but we'll see. So what will be to you about 10 seconds will be tomorrow mid-morning, but we'll get on to taking that front wing off and the bonnet off and everything, and we'll be at a point where hopefully everything will be cleaned up, sealed, painted, cure rusted, and we can start thinking about putting it back together. So the passenger side's quite easy. You've got one 10mm that would have been behind the bumper. Then you've got the row of 10mm in the wing lip that go up and behind the bonnet hinge. After that, there's the two 10mm in the door shut. There's two 14mm that go into the bonnet. And my patented remove the bonnet by balancing it on your head technique. After that, we can sand the two plastic rivets that hold the mud flap to the inner wing liner and wing. And then we can remove the wing and disconnect the wiring that holds the indicator repeater. After we've done that, it's just the spring for the bonnet hinge and the 340mm on that. And that's this side pretty much done. So that's about all we've got time for today. As you can see, we've got that side stripped down pretty quick. Once you've done one, the other side comes off a lot better. What we're going to do next is take a lot of measurements off this inner wing and compare it to that side, see what's what. And yeah, it should be some quick progress actually pretty soon. We've got a lot of the parts we need for this one. So if you liked this video and you want to see more, make sure you click subscribe, hit the like button, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.